Adam, well, I mean, first of all, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does it feel in reverse? You're sitting on the other side of the
I have no idea
studio.
what's going on in this seat at all. None.
What were you hoping to learn today, going over to see the Canes open up the season?
There was nothing to learn.
Really?
This is as stable a group as they have brought back in 5 years. There's really been no significant outgoing. Mm. And in every year since they made the playoffs, there's been a significant departure. There's really been none of that. They brought in 2 players. I mean, it's just the first day of practice, but Dmitry Orlov is built like a Coke machine.
That's hilarious. Dennis Cox, who normally produces this show, sat in for you today, was at the practices earlier today. He described him as a fire hydrant.
I mean, it's just hysterical.
Everybody looks at this guy and immediately says, I need to describe how his body type is.
He's an armoire.
but I can't compare him to another human or another skater because there just isn't one.
Humans don't look like that. Seth Jarvis has very long hair.
Okay.
Yes. He had a goatee not that long ago, and then got rid of it. Got rid of it. When I saw him with the goatee, I'm like, is that Seth Jarvis or Dave Grohl? Like it was to that point. It's not quite that long, the hair, but I think their guys are in just a great headspace going into this season. There's a bunch of guys that need to kind of make amends for either difficult years in Teuvo Teravainen or a guy like Martin Necas who's trying to put the last quarter of the season and the playoffs, behind him.
Mirror, yep.
But they're good. They are good.
Adam Gold joining us in studio. He was out at the opening practice for the Carolina Hurricanes. There are a few questions that I think they are kind of like just of the check. You got to check the box variety. Yeah. Svech, skating, looking good. How do you look?
He's fine.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to see him play the first couple of preseason. No, we're not going to see him play the first couple of preseason games. We may see him play one of the last 2. The second week, either at home or on the road against Nashville. My guess is if he's going to play one of them, it'll be the home game. And they're hopeful, and he is hopeful. Actually, I sat down with him for a few minutes today. Mm-hmm. If it were up to him, he's good to go. But as I spoke to Rod Brindamore about, and actually he's not the only one who said this, Jordan Martinook talked about it with me, that you have to protect Svechnikov from Svechnikov because he doesn't care.
He's a little competitive, right?
Just a little bit. What did Martinook called him? He called him a Russian machine. So, I mean, he's ready to go, but I can see them taking it very slowly with him because they understand just how important he is. They were a different team the last quarter of the season with no Svech. Obviously, it mattered in the playoffs, but. They're kind of. I think they're going to be very, very cautious with him.
What was his participation today?
He's got no.
He's out there skating.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah, the difference
in the mix.
The difference with Svech is,
I'm still in NFL mode where I'm like, was he limited? What was it? Was it a partial? What was he estimated DNP on the walkthrough? Like I'm just looking for that kind of stuff.
The difference will be when somebody starts hitting him. So he said and he actually said this to me, it's like when you control everything, it's easy. Mm-hmm. He said, and I asked him, how was the...
I'm going to go around this cone. Right. That's where I'm going to cut. That's where
was the rehab hard? And he goes, no, there's nothing hard about it. I work out. He's so
a Russian machine.
He is so cool. But, then when you start adding in the uncertainty of, all right, this guy's coming at me here, everything's not choreographed, that it'll be different then. But, so I expect him to be in the opener. I really do.
Adam Gold joining us in studio here, talking a little Canes. Check out his Canes Corner podcast. Check out the Adam Gold Show, which airs immediately before this one every day here on 99.9 The Fan. The offseason dealt with a lot of rumors involving maybe Pesce, Burns. Yeah. Was there any of that hanging over things? Was there any body language hinting at any?
No.
Okay.
No issues like that. Just to tease a couple of things. We're going to start rolling out a bunch of the stuff, a bunch of the people I talked to. We're going to start rolling out a lot of those in Canes Corner podcast, and some will air on the show too. And I spoke with Brett today. And part of the reason I wanted to go down there was to be able to sit down with Brett. So Brett's had an interesting summer because Brett got married this summer. And there were a bunch of teammates at the wedding. And I said, but at the same time, I mean, I wanted him to talk about the
business
the
side,
good.
yeah.
But I also wanted it like, all right, but you juxtapose the euphoria of getting married and all of that, and now you put the business side of hockey in the way, and it was a tough summer for him. So as I point out to a lot of people, I've talked about it on the show, Jordan Stahl was here before everybody, right? But Stahl came down to play with his brother and all that, and I had a good long conversation with Jordan today too. But
another guy who this offseason there was a lot of business, the new 4-year deal.
Yeah, but that was business that was always getting done. Jordan's not it was never going anywhere.
It's good to hear.
But the Pesce thing, he was the first of this crew of the core of the Slavins, of the Ahos, of the Taravanans. He was the first one here, and it would be cruel for them to
not to see it through.
Right. For them to go and win a cup, which they can do, if Pesce wasn't here. I would feel it would make me physically ill if he wasn't here to be a part of it. I don't know what's going to happen. I think if the right deal came along, I think the team would make it, to be honest. But I hope the right deal doesn't come along because I think he helps you win.
And it's interesting you bring up, right, the he got married and it's this, but then the business side's hanging over it. We talked with Jalen Chatfield, had him in here not long ago. He became a dad for the first time, and then, right, we're talking about that, and then you just kind of have to go, oh, by the way, you can do math, I can do math. There's this many guys on the defenders out there, and there's only this many minutes of ice time to get to. Were there any interesting maybe guys skating together? Did they get that far today?
No,
and pair or anything like that?
We don't have to worry about this. Slavin and Burns are going to play together.
Mm-hmm.
Shea and Pesce are going to play together. Orlov will play with either D'Angelo or Chatfield.
Any hints on the or?
No.
No, okay.
No, none, because honestly,
it's day one.
It is day one. Even when we get to games, you won't see it. If I was asked today to say who's going to be there given health on opening night, I think Tony DeAngelo will be sitting upstairs with us on opening night. And that's not a slight to Tony DeAngelo. I love Tony. I think Tony adds a ton of value to this team. But I think Jalen Chatfield will be the first choice, third pair, right defenseman. Orlov is going to. We know the five guys who are going to be in. I mean, you didn't pay Dmitry Orlov $7.5 million or $7.75 million a year to not play. He's going to be in.
You don't want a tree trunk that size to be growing roots. You want him out there on the ice.
Yeah, everybody needs to get a Coke out of the machine. Pesce and Shea together are as good a shutdown pair as there is in the league. Slavin and Burns are a top 5 defensive pairing in the NHL. So the top 5 are going to be there. And it's really between D'Angelo and Chatfield. It'll probably depend on who plays better in the preseason. But I don't think either guy's going to play a ton in the preseason. So it's really hard to figure. I'm just going to say Chatfield will be there opening night, given health. But to a man, I talked to Brett, and I talked to Tony, and I talked to Rod about this today. You walk into the locker room, and you look at the side where the defense is on, and you go, he's a top 4 defenseman. They've got 7 guys who are legit NHL top 4 defensemen. There is no team in the NHL that has that. It is a luxury. It's like in baseball. You can never have too much pitching.
Yep.
You can never have too many
pitchers,
quality defenders.
Edge rushers.
Yep.
Shooter, 3-point shooters.
No, you can't.
Like you're exactly right.
So they're in a good spot. There'll be competition. If somebody has a little nick, you can just sit him. And you won't have any drop off. Jacob Slavin missed, was it 7 games last year?
He played 78 plus 15 in the playoffs.
Well, but Slavin missed about 6 or 7 games in the regular season. They put Jalen Chatfield on his offside playing with Brent Burns at the top pair. They won every one of those games, and Chatfield looked great. So
maybe
no
we're
drop off.
Yeah, maybe we've been. At least I've been overthinking it, and it's just
No, it's not.
The more good guys you have, the better, and then we're good there.
The trick will be the guy who sits out. How does he handle it? That's the trick.
We're talking with Adam Gold. Check out his Canes Corner podcast. Just tease some of the awesome interviews you'll be will be able to hear there, as well as the Adam Gold Show, which airs from noon to 3 here on 99.9 The Fan and all over North Carolina. This will be the last one I ask because, again, we had Chatfield on the show, and I think there's this is a different offseason for him because prior to last year, I think the most games he played in a season was 16, and then he played 78 and 15. Like, he matched his career total games or career high games in just the playoffs, essentially. The Canes have been a trendy pick kind of preseason the last few years. They're the betting favorite to win the Stanley Cup this year.
I asked all the guys about that.
And okay, then perfect, because I want that temperature. How do you deal with that when
they don't care? They've
been on the rise, and now they're kind of top, but they're the hunted rather than the hunter.
Like, to a man, it's almost the same answer. I don't think they were coached in this. I just think that it's a sign of respect. Doesn't make a difference if you're the favorite or if you're among the favorites. Yeah. There's obviously a lot of expectations, but there's been expectations on the team. And everybody said the same thing to me. It's like, we expect to win. So if other people think we're going to win too, that's no different than us expecting to win. I think it's really cool that the betting markets feel like Carolina is, if not the best team, one of the handful of teams that have a great chance to win the Cup. It's all going to come down to what does Andrei look like this year? How does he perform in terms of scoring? Do we get the real Teuvo Teravainen? Does Martin Necas put 82 games as opposed to 65 games together? If they get that, and by the way, we talked about what Dmitry Orlov looks like. I don't know. Maybe it was just the lighting. Maybe he was sitting down.
Caught him by the good side.
Sebastian Aho is yoked.
Little protein in the offseason?
Holy cow.
Dennis Cox, who saw him today, is giving you a big head nod in the affirmative.
I'm like, dude, what you been doing? So he enjoyed his off season in Finland, but
that is exactly it. Like, how'd you get this muscle? And you're pointing to
I
don't have that muscle. How is yours that
and
toned?
That's why he'll be more difficult to knock off the puck. Watch. I've unbelievable amounts of respect for that guy.
I lied. I have one more question in my notes. Michael Bunting, did he stand out at all? Because we just talked about the new guys. Orlov, you had big.
Nobody stands out. Yeah. Nobody stands out. It's just there's thousands of players on the ice. By the way, it feels like there's a lot more on the ice than normal. But my curiosity will be, does he play with Aho and whoever the right wing is on that side? And just real quick about. We talked about the defenseman. Somebody's going to sit out. Well, Carolina's got, we know 3 lines, right? Stahl's going to center one. Kokaniemi's going to center the other. Aho's going to center the other. So they've got 7 wingers, though, for 6 spots. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see Martinook and Foss together. Okay, Svechnokiv and Necas around Kokaniemi. They were a thing for a good part of the season. Aho and Bunting and Jarvis. Wait, where's Teuvo go? So somebody, one of their wingers, Jarvis maybe Necas or Teravainen, they're going to be on a line with Stefan Noesen and a young center. And my guess is...
And there's probably some fierce competition to not be that guy.
And it's not that you don't want to be that guy, it's that you want to play with Aho. And Teravainen...
It's not that you don't want to be that guy, it's that you want to be the other guy.
Teuvo Teravainen, I'm not saying needs to play with Sebastian Aho, but... Aho and Teravainen together is peanut butter and jelly. So,
all right, Adam, we appreciate it.
You got it. I'm here.
Once again, Adam Gold. You can check him out on the Adam Gold Show, the Canes Corner podcast, and he was nice enough to stop in on our show and give us the reaction to the first day of Carolina Hurricanes practice. And there's much more of that. I mean, we're just getting started. We are just getting started. Actually, he's not leaving, so I'm just going to keep asking questions. Turn the microphone back on.
I didn't have to do anything. I'll do whatever you want.
You talked with Rod.
I did. I spent much longer than I think than he wanted.
But well, then we're gonna pick into that a little bit here. Rod, I mean, this is the guy that built this current iteration of the Canes. When he showed up, things started to go up. Does it feel like he's reaching the finish line? Does it feel like this is what he envisioned when he took over 5-6 years ago, whatever it was?
I don't think he envisioned anything. I don't think he had there
was no blueprint or like a North Star he was chasing.
No, it's interesting. I talked to him a lot about There's a few things that I actually can't say about what we talked about. Isn't that nice and secretive? But I did ask him about this because I joked the Jordan Staal contract. Among all the players who are up at the end of this year, Teravainen,
there's a lot of business coming up. Yep.
So is Rod.
Interesting. Chatfield. I mean, you can go on and on.
Too,
yeah,
right?
There's a lot of moving pieces.
I just joked with Rod. I said, when Jordan Staal signed his contract, and I said 4 years, I'm like, that kind of feels like the Rod Brind'Amour contract to me. As long as Jordan Staal is on the team,
they can skate off together, or have that option.
I think one of the best parts for Rod about being the head coach is that knowing that he's got Jordan Staal.
As a player, or as like the thermometer in the locker room? As
a player.
Okay.
Rod Brind'Amour, the whole thing, find somebody that looks at you or thinks about you, and
it's like the way I look at mac and cheese, and it's a picture of you with a dumb smile looking at a gooey bowl of mac and cheese.
The way Rod thinks about Jordan Staal as a player. I mean, that's why I think the 4 years, I don't think that's what Rod has left, because Rod could go for 10 years.
Keep himself in good shape.
Last I checked, yes. But Jordan is not only the perfect captain. He doesn't have to be the captain going forward. I actually expect, and we talked about it a little bit, I expect maybe even next year that Sebastian Aho will become the captain.
In a perfect world, being you pass the cup and then you pass the title.
Give him the C. Yep. Like, what is this in the cup? And Aho pulls out, look, the letter C for cup. But Jordan is the perfect player for Rod. He's selfless. He does whatever is being asked. He's defense first. He's incredibly responsible, and he's accountable. All of the things that Rod looks for in a captain and a leader, Jordan Staal epitomizes. And by the way, so does Aho. And it's one of the things that makes Aho such a natural captain, is because he holds himself to a standard that nobody has to tell Sebastian, well, that wasn't good enough. Seriously, Rod never has to tell Aho that that wasn't good enough. Aho does it,
which makes sense. Do you get the feel? I mean, I don't think anyone, racking my brain here, would be interested in not having Rod back. Did like the business side of it and so I didn't even know his contract was coming up, but I think that I may have read it and just went, they'll get it done and moved on.
Well, they here's the thing. They will get it done. Until the last contract, this is the second three-year deal. He was the lowest paid head coach in the NHL for the first 3 years. He's among the lowest paid head coaches in the NHL.
I would expect that to change.
Yeah, maybe not. That's the thing.
Okay.
The
is that like put the money on the ice, or is it?
That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what that is. The last negotiation was some about bumping Rod up, but it was also about a lot of the behind-the-scenes people that also the Hurricane, that Rod wants to keep, like strength and conditioning, nutrition, all of the things.
The assistant and staff coaching pool is a new part of head coach negotiations.
Yes.
In the last 5 years.
All of those things Rod feels like is more important. Not that he doesn't want more, but he understands what the pull of this is for some of the other players. And it's all those other things that we don't necessarily see. They're as good as anyone in the NHL at the keeping guys healthy, keeping guys, in terms of nutrition and all the other things that they do. And so Rod has fought more for that than he has for him. Like, if Rod listens to me, then
which I'm sure he does.
No, he doesn't. He laughs when I bring it up. Like when I say that, you should be, if not the highest paid coach in the league, but
that's why I said I assume it would change unless Rod is doing what you're doing. And
no, it won't.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll change a little bit. I mean, if he got to the middle, I think it would be amazing. But Rod played a long time in the league. He made a lot of money, so he doesn't need doesn't need the job.
How nice it must
right.
must
he
feel.
Doesn't need the job, but he's still. You understand this because you know people who have played professionally. Mm-hmm. Your salary isn't just about you; it's also about the group.
Yep.
So.
It's funny you bring that up, right? Because I was having this conversation the other day about Mahomes. He was given so much credit for being the quarterback that took the team friendly deal, and
right.
and then he turned around and now he's going to be amongst the highest paid, and he restructured. So, if I firmly believe if Rod wanted to, he could hold feet to the fire and go get a ton of cash. But if he wants to use whatever leverage he has to get the people that make his job easier taken care of, I think that's extremely honorable and might be a part of the secret sauce in Carolina in that everybody's kind of rowing in the same direction for everybody.
It is actually part of what the organization, and I'm not talking about Tom Dundon, Don Waddell. I'm talking about the structure of the team itself, is that it really is a group that is kind of all pulling in the same direction. They have been that way for, this is now year 6 of Rod. They have been that way since day one.
And this will be the last question.
Whatever.
Every year under this kind of, like you said, the last 6 years is they've gone a little bit further, or they've gotten as far with a different momentum, and it's been a slow and steady rise. There's only really one place to go from here. Is it Stanley Cup final or bust?
Well, I mean, I don't know what or bust means, but
or like, you start thinking like, all right, we've given you 7 years, like let's change up some of the key structures.
I don't think there'll be any.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's that. Look, if they don't win a Stanley Cup, they'll be disappointed that they didn't win a Stanley. No,
but they were this past year.
Well, they were disappointed because of getting to where they got, and it ultimately didn't work
you're
out.
Winning the division pretty consistently and those sorts of things.
Look, I actually said this to I think I said it to Jordan Stahl. When they invented the Metropolitan Division, and the Hurricanes were in the division with Pittsburgh and Washington and Philadelphia and New York, I'm like, how are they ever going to win this division? So that's what everybody thought.
Oh, yeah.
And you look at them like they have no
Truth
chance.
serum, some of them might even say it.
No, I did too.
Yeah.
I'm like, how are you going 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
The year before, they won the Pandemic Central with Tampa and Florida in it. No, they're really good. They're built to last. They've got tons of youth, and they'll continue to get better. I think they're going to be. You never know how the regular season is going to play out, and last year doesn't mean anything for this year. But their style, the way they play, is given it kind of promotes a really good game in, game out performance. They're going to be among the best teams in the league again, and then we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Can their power play, get at least decent in the because that's been the difference.
Yep.
It's not just their power play, but stopping other teams on the power play has been a problem for them in the postseason. As long as they don't get beat on special teams, I mean, they'll go far, and they can win it. They're as good as anybody.
That's Adam Gold. Follow him on Twitter at @AGoldFan. Check out Canes Corner Podcast and, of course, The Adam Gold Show right before this one every day on 99.9 The Fan.